I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast. Hi, Jessica Gilrath. How are you?
Hi, Connie. I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very good. So you know that this episode is all about Jessica, multi-passionate, all over student. And really, for as long as I've known you, I think for the last 6 years, you never stop learning, right? So you're a massage therapist, you're a trauma counselor, a teacher, now embarking on functional yoga medicine certification, includes nutrition and functional medicine, as well as 300-hour. You're a Pilates instructor. What else?
Mother.
The most important.
All kinds of things. So, like you said, thank you for that warm welcome. I started off my education. When I went to school, I wanted to do nutrition. That was my first passion. Then when I got there, it was like a lot of math and science. So I was like, maybe less passionate. So I ended up getting my bachelor's in human services and counseling. And at that time, I wanted to be the super nanny. And so then I had kids and I realized, okay, I'm not the super nanny. I need to transfer over to trauma therapy.
Because you were already super nanny with your kids.
Exactly. I was like, no, I am not a specialist in this at all, turns out. So then I went over to Mercer, got my CAC, started working with a lot of people with some pretty heavy trauma, mostly in the field of addictions. Of course, as we know, addictions start off as a way to help ourselves, but then as time goes by, create dis-ease, and so go ahead.
I just want to say that you're one of the few people that I know that are so self-reflective and so self-aware. I remember meeting you and you told me all these things and you were very much open about your addictive tendencies. I remember you telling me, oh, Connie, I don't have social media because I know myself. These were your exact words.
Right.
I get OCD and I get obsessed. And prevent that from happening, no social media. And so I never knew that you had 3 kids because you look so young. Aww. And then and I eventually met your kids. And recently I told you I met your youngest or the middle daughter, Sophia. And she just raved about her mom, like with the utmost respect. And she is like so beautiful. I saw them grow up. And I don't know, Jess, I have so much respect for you. And I do, because I just saw you in real life demonstrate everything that you learn in your own life. And you're one of those few people that don't suck into the drama of any kind. And even you and me, like in my business, there could have been many opportunities where you could have gotten sucked into the drama of my business, but you always gave me or anybody the benefit of the doubt. And you always stood firm in deciding that you're going to make the decision for yourself, that you're not going to lend a ear and dramatize. And I think you're very good about setting those boundaries. So 1, I thank you. 2, I respect you. And 3, I've come to love you wholeheartedly. Having said that, this episode is all about overcoming trauma and finding strength through functional yoga medicine certification. But really, I know you found strength through educating yourself and doing all the things that you need to do. And I feel like you're on this path of learning all the skills that you can to be the best human being that you can. But I always see you come through as wanting that for your clients as well.
Absolutely.
So that's the prelude. And so I'm going to ask you some questions So I want you to share your background as a massage therapist, trauma counselor, and yoga teacher, and what first drew you to these fields and all the lessons you learned.
Sure. So let's think about this. First, with the counseling, I was working at a recovery cafe place. And so I have a lot of addiction in my family, a long line of addiction in my family. And so that's a issue that's near and dear to my heart. And, I, like you said, struggle with addiction myself. And so having to overcome addiction at a young age, relatively young age, I started getting sober when I was 18. And so there's a lot of growth that came with that, just naturally. And that being said, I've always kind of been supported in being able to help myself and go to counseling and get the support that I need. And so that's something that I really don't take for granted, because I know that even with all the support that I've had and everything, it's been really challenging to get through those things. And so I always try to think about my clients, maybe they didn't have that support system and that encouragement and that someone behind them saying you have this, you know what to do, you can do it and stuff like that. And so I try to provide that safe space as much as possible. And so being in counseling allowed me to do that. First of all, gaining the skills for that. But my children were young at the time. So I think I had one in elementary school and two were still in Montessori school. And so it just became too much, being in the hardcore, recounting of serious trauma coming up with 3 small children like that as a single mother. It was too much. I didn't have enough self-care. And so I was teaching Pilates at the same time. And the people who I was working under, such beautiful people, encouraged me. Well, I think they were kind of joking, hey, go back to massage school and you could do that too. And that was on a Thursday and I was enrolled on Monday. So
you act like that. Yeah. That's so Jessica.
Yeah, 100%. And so when I went to massage school, I was really just thinking about it as a way to make money. And also to be able to be available for my children's field trips and, volunteering in their classrooms and stuff like that. I didn't really think that it would take me on the path that it has taken me. But what I found in doing the massage is, one, I'm very much of a touch lover myself. And so I was able to get that, communicate that sharing of energy between the two people, that I didn't have to then try to search for that in other ways that were maybe less healthy. And so, and then what I also found out is how beautiful everybody is. I thought that I would be at certain times grossed out about certain things, but in reality, that I realized that was such a veil that society had put on. And so when I saw these beautiful bodies in front of me, some with cellulite, some with hair, some with different kinds of hair, some with birthmarks, scars, whatever, and it was wow, whatever is making life is such a powerful, amazing thing. It just kind of reawakened my awe with Mother Nature. And I loved it. I loved being able to, people to come to me, they felt good. When they left, they felt better. In fact, I got to use more of my trauma education than I did when I was actually working as a trauma therapist, because it was already a place of vulnerability. People are there without their clothes. They're trusting you with things that are hurting them. And so because of that capsule of safety, so much stuff can happen. And, we became friends, we became sharing one another things that are going on in our lives. And I started to see the connection with physical body work and emotional release. And that was fascinating to me. I started to see, I've always been one who sees patterns in things. And so I started to see the patterns across people's bodies. and then the patterns across their minds and the patterns across their emotions. And I'm like, whoa, this is powerful, really, really cool stuff. But I always had this kind of like lacking piece where, so like with counseling, you're always trying to put yourself out of business. Essentially, you're teaching these people how to be self-sufficient. And I love that. I love that the idea of like, come to me, get the tools, and then live your life with the tools. You know, don't come to me and you have to come to me forever. And so when I went into massage, I started to feel that feeling of, this is a Band-Aid. You know, like, it's kind of like, yes, I was helping them, and I did help them to release connective tissue, to get into those things. But what I started to realize is that they're doing the same thing the rest of the hours that they weren't there getting the massage. And so just like the connective tissue is this sensory system that is ever responsive and is like taking in what we're doing all the time and adjusting, we're doing the same thing, you know? And so, I don't know, it kind of gave me like, there has to be more. I need something where the people can do this for themselves, you know? And so I started to, that's when I got my 300-hour yoga teacher training. I was actually doing yoga at the time personally, but wasn't teaching. So went through that, started teaching, had the opportunity to then start to see how correct alignment really does, first of all, change how your body feels. And then, you know, subsequently, your body and your mind are connected. What you do to the one affects the other. There's no like, oh, I do this to my mind and I don't do it to my body. And so I was able to start using yoga with my massage clients to teach them how to take care of themselves. And so I love that. Moving forward, you know, being hypermobile myself, the massage, deep tissue massage that I was doing became not as healthy for my body as what I could be doing with yoga. And so I started to segue more into the yoga. So that's what kind of brought me to the functional yoga medicine certification program, is because 300 hours was great. It taught me so much. It taught me about, you know, how to teach the class of that nature. And there was some personal work and stuff that was involved in it as well, but I wanted something deeper. I wanted to, if I'm going to segue out of, like you said, I'm obsessed with learning. So if I'm going to segue out of massage, which is what I've been doing for like 13 years, and be really full into yoga, I needed more, or I felt like I needed more education.
More education that integrates all you learned.
Correct. And then I found that the functional yoga medicine certification program had pieces of the nutrition, pieces of the parenting, pieces of the trauma counseling, pieces of massage, pieces of somatic work, like pieces of everything that I needed was in that one program. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be
amazing.
Yeah, this is what I needed to be able to kind of put everything together.
So kind of segueing away, like right now with, or not right now, but dealing with trauma, and with your experience with dealing with trauma yourself, I want to ask you, as someone who helps others through trauma, what kind of personal trauma were you carrying, and how did it impact your work and your well-being?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a long history of trauma. Actually, I was born into, my dad has 32 years sobriety now, but at the time was in active addiction. So born into a family with generational history of childhood, or of sexual abuse, generational history of addiction. And then, you know, those are the things that people can see, you know. Underneath that is feelings of abandonment, feelings of rejection, you know, basic needs not being met, you know. Basically what it comes down to is people in my life who were supposed to be a positive mirror for me, to show me who I am as a whole cohesive, beautiful creation that has everything that I need inside of me and is also connected to other pieces that make it whole. They weren't able to do that because of their parents doing the same thing to them and their parents doing the same thing to them. And it's just something that happens over and over and over until somebody is able to get to a place where they say, no, this has got to stop, you know? And so those are some of the things for me that I really, really have had to do the most work on.
How did it impact your work and your well-being? And how did you learn to work on them? Because you're so keen on working on them.
There's the saying, circumstances made me willing, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Initially, I mentioned that I had some addiction background. When I was in high school, I was on methamphetamines. And so obviously that's not just something that you do and then nobody notices, you know? And so basically I ended up getting in trouble with the law and realizing like pretty fast, like, I'm not doing that great, you know, like obviously this is not the path that I want. There's so much more to life, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was the first thing that's pushed me back. It really pushed me back to counseling because, or introspection, 12-step work, different things of that nature. Because my mom, like I said, I've always been supported really well. My mom had me in counseling from when they got divorced when I was 6 years old. And so from 6 until now, I've been in and out of counseling when I needed the extra support. So yeah, I guess that.
So I just, you know, you say it as if it was just a phase in your life, but I know like to go from methamphetamine in high school in your puberty years and to decide circumstances, right? I'm not doing so well. And for you to, in that young mind, to decide and for you to be receptive to this work, Jess, I just want to say that takes a lot of grit and a lot of commitment to yourself. And so for that, I think that's something you just really have to own, because I think that's what makes you so different. Because, you know, one thing about you is it's the caring and the empathy and the compassion that just comes through, not in what you say. It's in your whole being. It's almost like you understand every human being that walks through our functional yoga medicine doors, no matter what background. And I think you have just this gift of allowing people to feel right at home.
Thank you.
Take the shame away, the guilt away. And I think I know from our deep conversations that you still struggle with that, but yet you always put the best foot forward for others. And that never ceases. And I just have to say, because what you had to overcome is so much more than words can combine. I've met your lovely mother too. But I've never met somebody who is really true to their word. Do you know what I mean? You're really good about when you're struggling, you know, but you do it behind closed doors. And you're the most caring person I know, but you're the most, what do I want to say? What's the word? What's that word when you're the most introverted person I know?
Yes. Yes.
So for me, I've had to sort of learn and read your energy, and I sort of like understand when you need to be in a cave and you might be there. It's really interesting for me because I've just because like I understand, I get you, right? You sometimes come in and you would be kind of in this, you're physically there.
Right.
But then I can sense the armor is on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the work you do at the studio.
Totally.
I feel the armor. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've had to learn that, you know, how to you know, I guess for me, the work now is in letting down that armor more, with people who are safe. You know, I've had a long history of there not being safety, you know, and so there's been a lot of gaslighting. There's been a lot of like emotional, verbal abuse. And so that stuff starts to rewire your brain, you know, and so you start to feel, I don't have, there's what is home, you know, like that for me, my whole thing, my like, you know, just like struggling and like grabbing onto whatever I can to pull myself out of this like hole of what life gave me, you know, is what allows me to, like you said, connect on a spiritual level with everybody that I come in contact with. It's because I know, like, whatever you're going through, there's a piece of that is in me. You know, circumstances have not allowed that to bloom, but that seed is in there. And so, like, how am I to say, you know, just because my garden got watered over here and your garden got watered over here, that we have different plants, that mine is better than yours, you know? And so, like, from a young age, I was blessed to know that and to see that. And so, like, because when I was younger, my mom would take us to all different kinds of churches. And so, like, we went to, we'll go to Buddhist temples. We would go to, my grandma would go with Southern Baptist Church. We would go to the New Age churches. We went to Catholic churches. And so some that are like, I don't know if they were churches or not, but very close to snake handling experiences. But what I saw from that experience is that everybody was saying the same thing. You know, and it was there again with the patterns. There were patterns of character traits that across the board were being associated with what is a higher power. And from a young age, I could see that. And so I just started to like move towards experiencing those, whatever it was that can give me those feelings, or those if it shows those feelings, then I go to that. You know, it's like, for me, I've had a long struggle with religion also because of that. And so I had to learn to not try to explain away a higher power, but rather to just experience it. And the fastest, realest, most like makes me want to cry way to do that is to connect on a real level with people. And so, like, this quicker that the BS is gone and the realness is there, we're sitting in God's presence, you know? So like me, it is for other people, but it's also kind of selfish because I like to be around the feeling of God energy, you know what I mean? And so, like, and I like when the evil that the world tries to bring you down with is able to, you know, you team up and it's like, oh, that's doesn't look as big anymore. You know, when you're sitting there and it looks the same size, you get together with someone who understands and you're double the size of the problem. And so for me, that's how I live life.
That's how you gain the strength too.
Yeah. That's right.
What's uniquely you is I've always, despite the fact that the 3 levels, the lower chakra, specifically the safety chakra we call the root, wasn't there in your childhood years, and then the sacral chakra, all your hormones, and then I know that you've had a lot of issues with the 3rd chakra, which is the solar plexus. And so those 3 levels are very human traits. Do you know what I mean? It's what we feel here and now, and it's the conditioning that we receive. Somehow or another, despite all that you experience, and I feel like you were born in this world with a true heart, the 4th chakra, the throat chakra, your alignment, your need to be aligned with yourself, and then the 3rd eye chakra, and then the embodiment. It's almost like you've always bypassed all the prior levels. Yes, it did affect you. It keeps you real. But I almost feel like there's the essence of Jess is all about the heart and upwards.
Right. I do. Yeah. That's so I've never thought about it like that, but I
Yeah.
think you're totally right about that.
Yeah, because you're of the world, but then you're not of the world, because that's the connection between the heart and the solar chakras, right? And that's so unique to our program because that's how we link everything. Because if we're not safe right here, we know that we've had gut issues. We've had hormonal issues. If you look somatically, your physical body,
Oh, yeah.
your body keeps score. And I think you understand that. And I don't know about you, if you really understand what you've been doing, Jess, but I feel like you've always addressed all these physical symptoms with a lot of intuition and wisdom from up here.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
sure.
always go for not, yes, you're keen on the scientific evidence. It has to make sense to that brain of yours.
Right.
You ask a lot of questions,
Yes.
but then there's this side of you that is like in complete faith.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
What would you say to those people? Because you and I always talk about how trauma and our inadequacy and our lack of worthiness is what gets us sick,
Yeah.
right? And what would you say to those people that feel stuck? Like they don't know what to do, because I'm sure you felt that way.
Gosh. Yeah.
How would you get them out? What would be your advice to them?
So first of all, like the feeling of being stuck, like I have so much history of that. I mean, I've like had recurring nightmares of being stuck in things, you know? And so like, and I always wake up like, whoa, what's that about? But I know what it's about, you know? So that's very familiar to me. And I think that for people who feel stuck, that there's a lot of different ways that you can get to a problem. So like with massage, there's like, you can do effleurage, a light, you know, massage. You can do deep tissue. You can do connective tissue work. You can do all different kinds of things. And the outcome is the same, right? So we're bringing blood to the area, we're doing all these different things, but there's a lot of different modalities that can get in there. And it's like, you're kind of trying to come at it and kind of like surprise the tissue in certain ways. And so, you know, I'm really big on as above, so below. Everything mimics everything else, right? And so just like the massage piece, where there's a lot of different ways, there's the same thing with your mental health and your heart and your spirit. Is like, number one, like it's the ease method, you know, it's like using your gut, making sure that you're hydrated, making your microbiome that connects with your brain is functioning at a optimal rate, eating foods that are good for you, and using your intuition to actually truly enjoy your food and actually see what your body wants, and just let go of all of the programming that you've had around that, and the fear and the shame and the guilt and all the just that trauma, you know, women have had. But that's one part, the ease, the enteric nervous system. Then there's the autonomic nervous system, where we're teaching people how to regulate their nervous systems. You know, if we're feeling low and lethargic and we're in that like freeze state, how can we use our breath, use different cues that our body is giving us to get some more energy, to get back into that state where we can actually be thriving. Or if we're in the super active, you know, highly anxious state, how can we use breath work and different mindfulness practices to bring us back down to that place where it is easier to see reality more clearly, you know? So there's the gut, there's the breath, there's the somatic nervous system. So moving your body, you know, you talked a lot about not having the connection to my physical body, right? And because of like the extreme sexual abuse that I had dissociated from my body from, and that started when I was 5. Okay. So 5 to 12. So for almost like 10 to 15 years or something, I was gone from my body completely. And so to come back to that, you know, and this is what I tell my clients too, it's 20 miles in, 20 miles out, you know, and maybe that looks different, but moving the body, getting into the physical tissues allows you to start to bring that safety back into yourself, because our home is here, right? And if we don't have even connection to our root, then what are we even doing? There's just you cannot grow unless you have safety. And whether that safety comes from someone outside of you co-creating that with you, or teaching you how to get that, it's not that you have to get it, it's there. You just have to get rid of the things that are blocking that. And so, of course, any kind of somatic work, working with yoga, Pilates, anything that's going to connect your mind to your body, balance work, massage, even trauma releasing exercises, TRE, things of that nature, tapping. There's so many different ways. And then the empowered psychology, huge part of it, because our words create life, and so what we're thinking is what we're doing. And then if we're thinking it and we're saying it, we're doing it faster. And that's what most people are doing. And they're not paying attention to, I'm thinking this and I'm saying this, and my life is going exactly in this way, but now I'm just going to keep thinking it, keep saying it. And then the universe is like, oh, okay, they like this. They like having no money.
Habitual replay of the story in your head is what they do.
Exactly. And so just like I was saying earlier with the connective tissue being sensory and how it is responsive to what we do on a daily basis, our life and our thoughts and our emotions are also the same thing. And so, breaking into those automatic negative thoughts, breaking into those limiting belief systems, all of the things, getting into areas where we can set boundaries, where we can know if and it all builds on each other, right? We're feeding ourselves, then we're getting our systems in order, then we're getting the body to be in alignment, and then we're saying, okay, this is the final piece, And so if you can use that simple ease method, you can go in at any place. It's not like, oh, you have to do E, you have to do A, you have to do S, you have to do E. Yes, you do all of them, but you can start with whatever one works for you right now, and
accessible for them.
They're synchronistic.
Yeah. So can I just say, one thing that you do, I just keep thinking about you. I think one of the things that you do really, really well is you're really bluntly honest with yourself, with the state of your being. I remember one day you were going through some things and you were bluntly honest with me and really the team, and kind of asked for grace. And you were just kind of sharing, not oversharing, but just enough for us to know you're struggling.
Yes.
Therefore, I might have missed this. Please bear with me.
Yes.
And it's almost like like I told you, you go into this cave, but you check all the boxes, and then you go into this self-preservation mode. And I know this about you, is that you go out in Mother Nature to get closer to God. And I know you're in the body of water. You picked up fly fishing. You love to hike. And when you're in this state of craze, you go outside, leave your phone behind. You let me know that that's what's happening. And you're just out on the La La Land in camping grounds.
Yes.
It is your reconnect zone. And I just feel like you're really, you're one of the few people that kind of give yourself that, the fuel that you need. And that's why I tell you, you're so connected from your heart above. And I feel like I always remind you, now that's great. Now let's get here, take care of this.
Right.
And that's you being in the body and taking care of the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and then the solar plexus. And you're really good about asking for help in those regards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, I've learned over time that when we have big gifts, then we have big responsibility. And with you know, all of the things that have happened in my life, you know, I've been given the gift to be able to get out of that. And so for me, I feel like, number one, I have to cherish that, you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful gift to be from that decrepit, you know, just terrible space to a place where life is good. You know what I mean? And so I cherish that, but I also, a part of being able to cherish that is giving that away, you know? And so if I, like you said, if I'm not fueled up, then I can't do that. You know, I think about how big your darkness is how big your light has to be. It's like, it's the yin and yang, you know, and it goes back to yoga, you know, it's like there, you know, if someone has, if you think about artists, even, you know, it's like this, there's the belief around it that they are struggling, you know, and that they have mental health issues and they have a lot of problems with like getting it out there and stuff like that. And I've seen that. I've seen that in my friends. I've seen that in the world, and I've seen that in myself. And just for me, when I think about it in the concept of the yin and the yang, is like, that stuff's never going to stop. I have to balance on my side, putting in all the good stuff. And so, like you said, I go backpacking, I have every hobby under the sun, you know, because I have to. Because,
but Jess, I think it's your willingness
yeah,
to learn from the lessons. And now, because of you overcoming those lessons and learning from them, you're actually telling me right now and the audience that what's detrimental to a human spirit is now your gift. And to me, that says everything that the people need to know. These are the kinds of practitioners. And that's why, you know, I hand selected you, and I've just been like incessant in like pushing you to the limits of, but then I also back away. Yeah. And then I push you and I ask you questions, but I also know when you've got that armor on, I need to just back away.
Yeah.
Because it comes through as, please, Connie, please, no, not now. And that's okay. It's almost like an unspoken, you know, conversation we have. Yeah. That's when I say, I get you.
Right.
But, you know, yeah, go ahead.
That's the beautiful thing. That's the best gift that you're talking about right now, is being seen, you know, seen, heard, and respected. And like, that's every day I think about that. Be the reason that someone feels seen, heard, and respected. And for a long time, I've been doing that. But recently, I have been applying that to myself, you know, be seen, heard, and respected. And like when I changed that, and even though that's a positive, it is a limiting belief, you know, that I'm here for the people, you know, and that it's not a cohesive goes back and forth. And so like, it's just so interesting. It's just, there's so much comparisons from what we do on the mat and what we do in life, and how we share with others and how we share with ourselves. And it's just, it's simple, but it's not easy, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's a lifelong pursuit, because there's still times when I see you, and I think I have this gift of being very intuitive with people, and I feel their energy, and I somehow like know exactly what they're going through. I don't have to know the details. But there's still a lot of self-imposed limitations that I see with you. And I think we have these deep conversations and we just kind of touch and go sometimes. And then it's really enlightening for me to like just always touch you in ways where you're reminded that now level up, Jess, because you can, and you are, and you're all that and then some. Because sometimes I don't think you see what I see.
Sure. Yeah. And my mom has always been saying that to me. I wish you could see yourself the way other people see you, you know? And, you know, there's some like developmental disability stuff around that I think has to play into it. And which is another reason why I'm very much into like doing the research and learning the things. But I also just believe that you're right. It is a lifetime process. And so, and I've accepted that recently too, because I was always like a perfectionist and trying to find the last piece. What's the last piece? What's the last piece? And then my whole world would get destroyed because then everything else underneath that would fall. And then, and so,
you and me, like we have a lot of education under our belt. And what I want to say to everybody and to us too is, healing is not logical. It doesn't happen from the smart. So it's not about the learning and the education. But I find that no matter how smart we are, because I know how frickish smart you are, but sometimes we don't see it. It's not logical. And it's something so elemental. Like you said, it's trapped in a 6-year-old body who was traumatized.
Absolutely.
And that little girl doesn't know the logical side, no matter how much we know now. And so I think for the listeners, they have to, I just want to tell them, love on yourself. And I have a 6-year-old child on my phone. That's my picture, so that I can reparent her. And I almost have this two sides because she's always wanting to sabotage my every effort because it's always telling me, you're not good enough. Remember, no. It's scared because we never had security. We didn't have enough support at the time. And we were in these situations that we didn't ask for. You see what I mean? So with that being said, how did FYMCP help you to overcome your self-imposed limitations? What are some ways that helped you see some of the things in you?
So
was there like a specific practice module or moment that helped you to kind of break through and kind of say, wow?
I think there's been plenty of those. But the one that I can think of the most is when we first started working on the root chakra, and it's the base chakra, and there's certain eating patterns that you can do around it. There's certain herbs that you can take. There's certain thoughts that are associated with it. And so, you just deep dive into all of those things, and it's very much immersive. Like we're eating with intention for the root chakra. We're thinking, we're breathing, we're yogaing, we're doing everything for the root chakra. And I really didn't know how. I thought it was just be another thing of education, to be honest. And so I was cool with that because I love education. But I was just like, okay, we'll just, I was going through a hard time, and I'm like, this is something that I can focus on. That's not the issue. And that's healthy. But when I started doing it, what I realized is that it's not just education. It is more a self-healing intensive, and
it's practical application.
Yes.
That is meant to provide you with the experience so that you can share that experience of healing yourself for other people. Because I believe, I have all these levels of education that taught me that I have to be behind my white lab coat and separate me and talk theory and science to my patients. And that never worked for me.
Yeah.
Because my little 6-year-old is not going to talk to the logic of what I need to do. Because sometimes, when you're traumatized like that and we have a lot of insecurities, well, you're not going to do the thing that you should do. We all know what we should do, but the problem is we don't do that thing.
Right.
We end up over medicating, over drinking, overeating, all the things.
Yeah.
I just feel like this program is designed to heal yourself so that you can be the best human being that you can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our minds are created to keep us safe, and safe is what we've been doing, because we know how to handle it. It's not necessarily at this point caught up with us evolutionarily enough to keep up, to be in the service of making us happy, And so it becomes a full system that has to do that. And I think the FMYCP program shows you that system, and it's not just like, oh, well, this is your system and this is the ultimate system. Every bit of education that is in line with healing can fit in that system. Do you know?
So, would you say this is true? We are teaching, when you see your clients, yes, the answers to their problems, but you're teaching your clients through FYMCP as a certified functional yoga medicine certified practitioner practicing at functional yoga medicine. And Jessica is taking new clients, you guys. Would you say that what you do is to teach the essential skills that they need for life so that they can be self-empowered? Like you said, optimize enteric, regulate autonomic, enhance the somatic, as well as empower their psychology. That's exactly what you do.
Yep, 100%.
Okay. So how has that learning made you approach your massage and counseling business differently?
So I think that it gives me a framework that I can go back to and put any issue through and then find a solution. It's an easy way to find a solution. Like I think about with massage, we are taught to see a client in anatomical position, see how their body is out of alignment, and then we can start to see, okay, what muscles are shorter, what muscles are longer, how can we address that? And I think the FMYCP program does that for the whole being.
Whole system integrate. Yeah. So I just want to kind of sum up what we talked about. I believe you are an amazing functional yoga medicine practitioner because of the experience that you have in real life. You've actually overcome a lot. So you have an uncanny ability to embrace every human being that comes through those doors. And I've witnessed that in you. You can pretty much be best friends with your clients in a heartbeat because your heart leads everything that you do. And what is really unique about Jessica, from witnessing her for over 6 years now, is her commitment to learning, commitment to other people's well-being. And really, she's one of the few people that really leaves the facility better than when she found it. She's always looking for ways for improvements. And you make every one of your clients feel right at home.
Thank you.
And I think experience with Jessica Gilreath, if you sign up with her, she can do nutritional consultations. She can do not just consultations, but provide you a path forward utilizing the ease method that she discussed, because she'll use the whole body approach using your chakra systems and really get into your blockages that you have. And she does that with her unique ability of counseling background and massage, because she now knows how to passively and actively. And our practitioners focus on activating the proper muscles so that you can regain the functions of all the mobility in your body without inflammation and micro tearing or strain and sprain that often happens in any other yoga studio. They're so in alignment with you and your goals that she's going to walk you through. Not only that, she can do testing based on your personal needs. And this is not to diagnose. We only do testing to, again, optimize enteric, regulate the autonomic, and enhance somatic and empower psychology. And those are the genetic tests that we do. And there's other hosts of tests that we weigh this against to help you every step of the way. And so if you've been waiting to work with Jessica Gilreath here, I really highly recommend her. I put my license on the line. Yoga physical therapy is another one she's so amazing at, because she has the ability to mobilize your body and help you to activate the proper muscles, both passively and actively. And she does it with proper alignment and knowledge, and she's fully certified. She did say she has a 200-hour with functional yoga medicine. She got probably 6 years ago. And then she's now has the YTT at the 500-hour, because 2 and 300 combined. And then she has all the education she needs to become the functional yoga medicine certification practitioner. And with that being said, our goal together, and she works with me, and I believe she's working with me because of the loftier goal behind the vision of what we do, is more about doing it together, armoring up together to produce and help as many people become more healthy, more at peace, and more in love with themselves, because we believe that's where the healing begins. And when that happens around the globe, then this world is going to be a better place. Do you have any last minute thoughts to add, Jessica?
I think I just, want to reiterate the 20 miles in, 20 miles out aspect, just that it is a road growing, and there's always, even if there's not something that's pressing at the moment, there are things that are brewing, and it is a system that you can see the things that are brewing before they become problems. And so I love that Eastern medicine approach of like seeing things are not exactly balanced. Let's try to get that back into balance before it becomes disease, you know? So I think that this is really good. And then, using a holistic approach to healing, always, knowing that there's the top-down approaches that you can use from your brain to get to the body. There's the bottom-up approaches that use your body to get to your brain, and just use every single situation, again, that the world throws at you that's supposed to bring you down and bring you into fear and bring you into dimming your light. Use that as fuel. The obstacle is the way.
Yeah, that is so true.
Let us help you, because we have been through a lot that you don't have to go through, and you don't have to be living the way that you're living if it's not the way you want to live.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you for your time. I love you so much. I love your soul. I always tell you that. So thank you so much for your time. And you can find Jessica at Functional Yoga Medicine. And can you give them your Insta handle so that you guys, Jessica is now on Instagram.
Okay, yes, Connie forced me. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I did force her.
Your own. AUM, my own. My own.
I love that. That is so you. Spunky and stay weird. Okay. Love. I'll see you later. We're going to click off now. Thank you so much. You can find her on our Functional Yoga Medicine page, and she's under our practitioner profile. Learn all about it in this episode, along with the MP4, which is going to be on YouTube, as well as on my podcast, Mind Your Health, is going to be up there so you can learn all about her. And I don't know about you, but you can't help but to fall in love with this woman. So I hope you guys feel the same way as I do. I'll see you guys all next time. I'll see you later, Jess. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Mind Your Health podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, we would so much love it and appreciate it if you share it with someone who could benefit as well as to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where podcasts, and leave us a review. We would be so grateful, and it helps us to reach more people just like you, so you can become more empowered to enjoy longevity and health. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Connie Chung. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast for a new episode every single week.